Palestine, the Israeli occupation army released at least 77 detainees in the Gaza Strip who were transferred to the east of Eid al-Balah. In Venezuela, the president of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Amoroso, expressed his rejection of the European Union's decision to lift the sanctions imposed by the United States on the electoral power. And in Brazil, President Lula Silva called a meeting of ministers to discuss actions taken in the state of Rio Grande do Sul affected by floods. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Palestine, the Israeli occupation army released at least 77 detainees in the Gaza Strip who were transferred to the east of Eid al-Balah. The civil defense in Gaza confirmed that the sanitary and humanitarian conditions of the prisoners released by Israel are critical after being subjected to various types of torture and psychological abuse. The Gaza Border and Crossing Authority denounced that the Palestinians kidnapped by Israel did not receive any food, medical or hygiene supplies and were also prevented from sleeping during their detention. The victims of the Israeli siege reported that before being prisoners of the Israeli regime, they were refugees in the Al-Aqsa hospital in the center of the Gaza Strip.
Esta ración no era posible conseguir ni por el día entero.
This food ration was not possible to get, not even for the whole day. They gave us one egg to share with 3 people, only one egg for 3 people to eat. We were having a very bad time. We were dying, and we stay awake 24 hours a day. There were murderers, beatings, and attacks by dogs that they let loose to attack us. We stayed 70 days like this. We saw death. The young people who were still inside had nails this long, and their hair reached their waists.
El cabello les llega hasta la cintura. Desde el inicio de la guerra, mi salud se está deteriorando.
Since the beginning of the war, my health has been deteriorating. I have a large family. We are 14 people, and we have been stumbling from one place to another looking for a safe place to take refuge. We went to the hospital Al-Shifa, my wife and I, and our children. We sought refuge, and we stayed there for about 2 months, and suddenly at 2 o'clock in the morning the Jews arrived and took us out by force. And they violently evicted the people in groups of 50, and from each group they took people out and took them prisoners. Thank God they let me go. I only live to serve and support my family. I don't belong to any group, I only dedicate myself to my family.
Israeli occupation forces attacked the northern part of the Gaza Strip on Monday in a military operation against a refugee camp in the city of Jabalia. The Tel Aviv regime resumed the heavy bombardments of the town, destroying the existing houses in the area 7 months after the beginning of the Israeli war against Palestine. The war has left so far more than 35 million Palestinians dead, while the occupation forces continue to besiege the city of Rafah, which is sheltering around 1.5 million displaced Palestinians. Now let's go to Palestine with our correspondent Huda Hegazi, who is at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah Governorate, one of the few health centers available in Gaza.
I'm at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in the Deir al-Balah Governorate in the center of the Gaza Strip, one of the few hospitals that are still operating in the entire Gaza Strip. We could say that it is the only hospital that is still operating in the center and in the entire southern zone in general, because according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the health system in the Gaza Strip is on the verge of collapse due to the closure of the crossings that has been in effect for more than 7 consecutive days. Since the beginning of the Israeli military operation in Rafah, the Kerem Shalom and Rafah crossings have been completely closed, and there is no entry of fuel, medical supplies, or humanitarian aid. Therefore, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the hospitals in the Gaza Strip are in danger of ceasing to function. Even today, the European hospital, which was the central hospital in the south, located between Rafah and Kantaunis, was closed because it ran out of fuel. And this hospital, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, is in danger because if they don't get fuel in 48 hours, this hospital could shut down. And therefore, all the patients, all the wounded, will be in a high-risk situation. Not only patients wounded by Israeli shelling, but also patients with chronic diseases such as those with kidney failure, with cardiovascular diseases, as well as babies in incubators. Hence, all these people, all these patients, need this electric power, they need this fuel for these devices to which they're connected to work, and therefore they're all threatened with death. We will now speak with the spokesman for the security at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, Dr. Khalid Dikram. Tell us a little bit more about the situation of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in light of this fuel crisis that the health sector is facing in Gaza. Hello, doctor. Please comment on the situation of the hospital in this crisis caused by the closure of the crossings.
About a week ago, the occupation army closed the Rafah crossing and prevented the entry of aid, including fuel. The absence of this fuel in the hospital can threaten the life of many sick and injured. In the past, we could count on this fuel in the hospital, and we were using the reserve. We already consumed the last part that we have left, which does not last more than 48 hours. When it's run out, many patients will be in danger of death, and especially those in intensive care, newborns in the incubators, those in surgery, and the renal patients.
As we can see, the fuel that this hospital has right now is only enough for about 48 hours, and in case the borders remain closed. If there is no entry of fuel and medical supplies, this hospital will be in danger of collapsing. It will be in danger of closing, thus harming the wounded who come to this hospital because of the Israeli bombings, and all the patients who need treatment and cannot find it. Therefore, the message is that the international community must put pressure on Israel to open the borders and allow the entry of medical supplies.
On Monday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated during a meeting with Greek head of government Kyriakos Mitsotakis that he does not consider the Hamas movement as a terrorist organization, but has acted as a resistance group, safeguarding its territories since 1947.
A significant disagreement with you. I do not consider Hamas a terrorist organization. On the contrary, Hamas has acted as a resistant organization safeguarding its territory since 1947, when their lands were occupied. So many Hamas members are being killed. The entire West is attacking them with all kinds of weapons and ammunition. And in the face of all this, if you call Hamas a terrorist organization, I will be saddened. Hamas has been continuously isolated from their lands, and their lands have been occupied by Israel since 1947.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Venezuela, the president of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Amoroso, expressed his rejection of the European Union's decision to lift the sanctions imposed by the United States on the electoral power. During a speech this Monday, Amoroso categorically rejected the intentions of the European Union to coerce his functions as president of the CNE, as well as the Venezuelan electoral power, pretending before the international public opinion that they are proceeding to the lifting of the sanctions in the country. In turn, Amoroso exhorted the European Union and other countries, such as the United States and the United Kingdom, to proceed to the total lifting of the unilateral force and genocidal measures against Venezuela. Amoroso also expressed that the decision of the European Union to lift the sanctions only against him is contrary to his duties as a Venezuelan. U.S. Southern Command renews its crusade against China and questions the Asian country's intentions in Latin America. U.S. Southern Command Chief Laura Richardson discussed China's new interest in Latin America and insinuated that Beijing is pursuing military objectives by expanding its presence in the region. She highlighted that China's influence in Latin America is growing through critical projects such as the construction of large ports that give it access to valuable resources. In this way, the head of the U.S. Southern Command spoke of the importance of cybersecurity and warned on the need to inform about the associated risks if critical infrastructure falls under the control of companies linked to Beijing. Beijing, for its part, accused Washington of double standards and reminded it that it has about 800 military bases abroad, with 173,000 military personnel stationed in 159 countries. The international community is deeply concerned about the activities carried out by the U.S. in those military bases, where the citizens of those countries have the right to know what military activities the U.S. actually practices in those territories. Beijing stressed that the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean are sovereign and not the backyard of the U.S. In the United States, Trump leads in 6 of 5 key states ahead of the November election. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has a significant lead over President Joe Biden in 5 states where there is no clear pattern. Likewise, Biden's reputation continues to suffer in the face of a longing for change, discontent over the economy, and the war in Gaza. Over 4,000 people are reporting that the Democratic president is losing support among young voters, blacks and Hispanics, the largest part of his electorate. Meanwhile, Trump is ahead in 5 of 6 key states, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia and Pennsylvania, where Biden would only win in 1, Wisconsin. According to recent polls, Donald Trump is ahead of President Biden in 5 crucial battleground states. Let's see. In Pennsylvania, Trump leads Biden 47% to 45%. In Arizona, the former president is leading 49% over 42%, whereas in the state of Michigan, Donald Trump has 49% approval over Biden's 42%. The surveys also revealed that in Georgia, Trump is also ahead of Biden, 49% to 39%. And in the state of Nevada, Trump leads 50% over 38%. In Wisconsin, however, Democratic incumbent Joe Biden might beat Trump 47% over 45%. In Togo, the Constitutional Court confirmed temporary results from last month's legislative election process, which gave the victory to President Faure Gnassingbe's ruling party. Gnassingbe's Union for the Republic Party won 108 of the 113 parliamentary seats. Opposition parties won the over 5 seats in the April 29th vote. The provisional results had been published earlier this month amid mounting political tension after adopt a contest constitutional reform. Opposition parties have condemned the reform, which they say will allow Gnassingbe to extend his already nearly 2-decade rule. Meanwhile, the court has rejected all appeals lodged by the opposition. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Brazil, President Luis Lula da Silva called a meeting of ministers to discuss actions taken in the state of Rio Grande do Sul affected by floods. The Brazilian president called the meeting to evaluate the measures adopted in Rio Grande do Sul, a state that has been affected by the heavy rains. Moreover, the national government allocated more than $10 billion for the reconstruction of the affected cities. The executive also announced on Monday the suspension for 3 years of the payment of Rio Grande do Sul's debt with the state. Meanwhile, Brazilian authorities warned that the situation in the state of Rio Grande do Sul will worsen due to the new floods. According to the most recent bulletin of the state civil defense, more floods and landslides are expected to occur between Monday, May 13th and Tuesday, May 14th, due to the intensity of the rains registered during the weekend. Moreover, the agency warned about the possibility that the level of the Waiba River could rise again and reach 5.50 meters, which would be a new record. The authorities indicated that the rains affecting the state of Rio Grande do Sul have left at least 147 dead and more than 1.4 million people affected. Meanwhile, meteorologists issued warnings due to forecast of intense cold weather. According to them, the lowest temperatures are expected to be felt mainly from the night of this Monday, May 13th, in several areas of the state, especially in the south, in the Guacho countryside, and in the mountainous regions. According to the data, the intense cold will extend until the morning of Thursday 16, and new drops in temperature are expected from May 17th. In view of this situation, the authorities transferred to the region a ship with food and clothing supplies to help the affected citizens, and also called to be alert for the infectious respiratory diseases. In Mexico, the Meteorological Service warned of temperatures above 40 degrees in 14 states of the country. According to the agency, this is a second heat wave that will be affecting the southeast of Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula. Maximum temperatures of above 45 degrees Celsius are expected in Campeche, Chiapas, Tabasco, Veracruz, and Yucatan. This comes after a heat wave that hit Mexico 10 days ago decreased over the weekend after rains were recorded in the south, center, and north of the country. The National Water Commission warned that temperatures will reach 40 to 45 degrees in at least 9 states of the country, including Guerrero, Hidalgo, Michoacán, and Oaxaca. Meanwhile, 35 to 40 degrees are expected in Baja California, Coahuila, Colima, and 9 other states. Indonesia's Ibu volcano erupted Monday, sweeping a dense 5,000-mile gray ash column into the sky for 5 minutes. Due to the toxic smoke generated by the eruption, the Indonesian authorities raised an alert warning and prohibiting all outdoor activities. Authorities have reportedly prepared evacuation tents, but no evacuation order has been issued yet. However, authorities have called the population to be cautious and take all necessary measures before the high probability of new and stronger volcanic activity. The Ibu is one of the most active volcanoes on the planet and has presented an increased activity during the last month. In France, one of the world's most prestigious film festivals, the Cannes Film Festival, is about to begin its 77th edition. The festival, known for its competitive selection of films in various categories, kicks off on Tuesday, May 14th, and its programming will run until the 25th. The event has had a significant impact in the film industry, providing a platform for films that address important social and political issues. On this occasion, filmmaker and actress Greta Gerwig will share the jury of the main competition, and in addition to the coveted Golden Palm for the best film, 3 honorary Golden Palms will be awarded to Meryl Streep, Studio Ghibli, and George Lucas. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.